Good afternoon. Welcome to the Fagan Realty Group YouTube channel. My name is Jordan Kazee. I am flying solo today, unfortunately. Mr. Jim is off having a great time in Colorado and celebrating his birthday tomorrow. So if you happen to see him, talk to him, throw him a happy birthday. Throw him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
So he's enjoying himself out there and you're stuck with me. However, I want to say again, we are creating this content specifically for people that live in Charlotte and the Carolinas to be informed and up to date on things going on here in the city of Charlotte, as well as the Carolinas as a whole. So if you like the content that we are making, the best way that you can support us is by subscribing to the page as well as liking it. With that, today we are going to be talking about, drum roll, rich people that live in North Carolina, specifically billionaires. Why are we talking about billionaires who live in North Carolina? You'll have to stay to find out, but I'll give you one reason why to start. Because they bring jobs oftentimes, they bring companies, and they have a wake effect that raises everyone's well-being in the state by virtue of them being here and usually their companies. Also, you're going to want to stay to the end to hear a very interesting one. Thanks so much for joining us. I think one of the first things people would ask is, why on earth would you do a video about the billionaires that live in North Carolina? There's a couple of reasons, but the biggest one is that people that have started companies, buy companies, and by happenstance happen to be worth a fair amount of money, when they come here for various reasons, it usually has to do with something business related or tax related or things of that nature. And so when we talk about who are the billionaires in North Carolina, what we're really getting at is what are the jobs that they've brought here? What are the jobs they are creating here? And what are their companies and the things that are a part of them doing to help raise the overall level of living here in the Carolinas? And so it's just an interesting thing to be able to talk about. There's a couple of very interesting ones and ones that I bet you might not even know. So here we go. Well, I've got to use the microphone like this because it's creating rubbing or something like that. I don't know. It's static stuff. So early YouTube stuff. Anyways, we'll get on with our list here. The first person that we're going to talk about is a guy who I didn't know before we started this process. Maybe you didn't either. His name, James Goodnight. This guy founded a statistical analysis company in the 1970s while being a student at NC State, which ended up becoming the SAS Institute. The SAS Institute does all sorts of statistical analysis of agricultural and farmland. And by 1976, this guy had 100 employees under the company. They had funding from the USDA and a consortium of a bunch of different universities. He kept the company private, though, and if you fast forward all the way to 2010, they did almost $3 billion in revenue. There's not a ton known about the company and the revenue necessarily publicly, simply because it's a private company. He continually fought off people for takeover attempts, or he never wanted to go public. Really interesting. Well, James Goodnight not only has brought so many jobs to the Carolinas, but on top of that, the guy is worth $7.3 billion and invested a lot in the greater Raleigh area with Cary specific. He still lives in the greater Raleigh area and is one of the most influential people in all of North Carolina. The next person on our list, I hadn't personally heard of his name, but I definitely knew his work as, you know, a millennial who played games at some point. Maybe you've heard of his company, Epic Games. Well, let's talk about Tim Sweeney. This guy founded a company called Potomac Computer Gaming Systems in the 80s. It ended up becoming Epic Games. Epic Games produced a very popular Xbox game that a lot of people will know if you're in your late 20s or all the way through your 30s, called Gears of War. Super popular title on Xbox, but they're mostly known for probably the hottest game that's come out in the past decade outside of, I can't even think, but he came up with Fortnite. Fortnite is Epic Games' biggest, most commercially successful venture and has produced billions of dollars for Epic Games. And Tim Sweeney, who lives in Cary, North Carolina now, worth, according to Bloomberg, about $9.8 billion. Now, because North Carolina may not have the most billionaire tax-friendly stuff like income tax, no income tax like Texas and Florida, our next person doesn't live here full-time, but you definitely know him. The infamous David Tepper, worth a cool $18.9 billion, according to Bloomberg. He's a hedge fund billionaire, and he recently, about 5 years ago, bought the Carolina Panthers for, I believe, about $3 billion. He has, unfortunately, kind of taken the team downward, and his behavior is kind of strange. However, what he has done is try to invest in the team and make them relevant, do renovations to the stadium to the tune of like $100 million. And he's brought a ton of concerts to the city as well. Time will only tell what happens with the Panthers and his ownership, but I'm hopeful things turn around. He's worth enough money to be able to do something. So maybe things change. As an added thing that is a good thing about David Tepper, he did bring Major League Soccer to Charlotte. Charlotte FC has been a huge success. So it's not solely about what's gone wrong with the Panthers, but Charlotte FC has been a huge boon to the town, and everybody loves Charlotte FC. And in keeping with our theme of live here, don't live here for tax reasons, we have... No, not Phil Jackson. The guy that played for him, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, he's worth an estimated $2 billion. He went to UNC, played basketball there, originally from Wilmington, obviously played in the NBA for the Bulls, won 6 championships, and is the most decorated NBA player of all time. Now, with that being said, after he retired, he bought the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets never really did anything all that great, but I don't think he was the worst owner of all time. And he recently just sold to the GameStop hedge fund guy, Gabe Plotkin, who lost like $100 million on that and made a lot of money. And he's still a part-time owner. But right now, Michael Jordan lives most of his time in Jupiter, Florida, on a brand new mansion that he just built. And so in conclusion, I just want to say one of the reasons why we're going over something as random as who are the billionaires that live in North Carolina, it's not because we're like worshiping billionaires or anything. It's because when they make moves here in the Carolinas, it usually reverberates throughout the entire community, right? And so with every step that David Tepper or Michael Jordan or the Epic Games guy, Tim Sweeney, what they do has massive implications for local economies here, and we think that that's really important to stay up on with regard to how it affects the jobs market, how it affects people, how it affects families, and then it's going to affect the underlying real estate in the state. So both states, for that matter. So anyways, that's a little bit about why we decided to discuss this topic today. And we just want to continue to bring you news and notes and things that are interesting that you can just know. It's better to be informed than not informed. So this is the Fagan Realty YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed what we've had to say and thought it was informative or helpful in any way, don't forget to like our page and subscribe to our page. That's the best way to support this content that we're creating specifically for you. Thanks so much.